you are having a great day out there today, guys. We are kind of messing around and doing a little more shop work on the Arma Talion EXB. Any guys out there that have been following along and watching the videos on this thing, the first run with this thing with the stock Arrma system in this thing did not go so well. Had some issues. This thing did not have any air control whatsoever. It was awesome on the ground, but as far as trying to jump this thing, the air control was just terrible. So, brought it back, went over some things, put the deep boots, backflips, 4S tires on it, and also went to a 15-tooth pinion gear on this thing. Took it back out for its second run. Thing performed far, far better. Had lots of great air control. Thing ran great. But right at the very end of the day, she took a good chassis slapper coming down off of one of the bigger jumps, and the ESC completely died. I mean, it is dead in the doornail. I went through, process of elimination, changed out the receiver, changed out the motor, everything else was working fine. The ESC had died. Contacted Horizon and told them what was going on. Spoke with somebody on the phone the first time. Everything seemed all kosher. They said, okay, yeah, go ahead and shoot us a copy of the receipt, and we'll ship you out a new ESC. So I did that. Waited about a day and a half. All of a sudden, I get a following email back from them stating that, well, we need you to send the ESC in here, and we might warranty it, but it's going to take at least a few weeks because we are really behind on stuff. So realistically, with shipping and so on, I was looking at least a minimum of a month by them telling me before my ESC was either determined it was going to be under warranty or what they were going to do, which frankly really irritated me that I first was told that, yeah, we'll go ahead and ship you out a new one, which is my past experiences I've had with Horizon. I've contacted them, told them what happened, went over everything with them, what my process was of eliminating that it was the ESC, and they shipped me one right out. Anyway, guys, long story short, I said to heck with that. Went ahead and ordered up a Hobbywing combo for this thing. Went ahead and got the Hobbywing max6 combo with the 1650 kV sensorless system in this thing. And now I'm going to run this. Guys, I really quickly took this thing out in the parking lot and ripped it around. And I mean, this thing has just got power for days, guys. I mean, it is just insane. Also, I figured while I was doing this video on this thing, because I know a lot of other people might be having similar issues and all that, and I already got the thing installed, obviously, guys, and I was going to do an install video on it, but it was a little bit of a process. It wasn't a terrible process at all, but it was the first time trying to fit something like this in here. I was told by many, many people that, man, that's going to be a really tight squeeze. I don't know if you're going to get that in there, which, I mean, I kind of questioned it too, with motor and ESC. And as you can see here, I mean, the ESC just fit. Now, I could have slid it over this way a little bit more, but then you start running into the motor connections here hitting the center brace part. So I did some measuring, lining it up, and went over it. So I just figured I'd show you guys during this part of where this thing fit and how I got it in there. I did take off the whole entire motor plate, the plastic plate that holds, all the your ESC plate, partially connected to your servo here, but they are separate. But anyway, I took that plate off, measured the holes on the bottom of the ESC, drilled them through the plastic, and used the double-sided tape and mounted all 4 screws in the bottom of this thing. And there is a little ridge. Sorry, gimbal got weird there. There is a little plastic ridge on the bottom of this plastic plate right here that you do need to cut down or file down flat. You'll see it whenever you pull your stock ESC off, but there is a little ridge down there that's about, a quarter inch high that you do need to get rid of because it won't allow the ESC to sit flush if you don't do that. But what we're doing now is, since I got the motor in here, took it out for a quick test ride, everything seemed to run great. I was just thinking about the power and everything else, and I had one of these, so I'm going to install this today also. We're going to put in one of these new Hot Racing aluminum center differential, mounts for the other side of the center diff here, because one side's aluminum with the motor mount plate, but the other side is plastic, and those plastic ends tend to tweak and get a little deformed. So we're going to put the aluminum one in this thing and give this thing its best shot at staying together. But so far, really happy with the way this thing runs. I'll go ahead and run this thing at the end of the day here too, whenever we get this thing all put back together, and show you guys what she's got. But this is why We're doing inside work today, guys. Well, now it's going to make me a liar, but it is raining non-stop today. It is just on and off. Every 5 or 10 minutes, it just starts downpouring. So, messing around with a few cars in the garage. Hopefully later today or tomorrow, it's supposed to be clear, so we're going to take this thing out. I want to take this thing out for a rip and give this thing a good bash time and see how she performs out there in the real world now. But we're going to go and work on that. Also, guys, finally got the XMAX all back together. Got the new center drive shaft in that beast and replaced the bearings on the center drive shaft support. So the XMAX is up and ready to roll again. Everything else is all back together. Also got the Typhon 6S all finished up. I got the new front drive shaft in this thing and got the new M2C chassis under this beast. Can't wait to take that thing back out again too, because really want to take it out for a rip with its new chassis under that thing. But I'm going to go ahead and start pulling this thing apart, and I'll bring you guys back in a moment. All right, guys. Well, I went in and removed just the top of this thing because I do have, the on-off button here for the ESC double-sided taped to this. I cleaned it up really well with a brake cleaner so that double-sided tape had its best chance of sticking to there. But going to go ahead, remove the center brace out of this thing, took one end out, flipped it up. I'm going to go ahead and undo the 4 screws, pop this thing off of here, and then I'll be able to get the center diff out of here and go ahead and take off the 2 screws that hold this on the bottom here and get this out of here. And guys, I apologize if you occasionally hear me sniffling. I'm just kind of getting over a cold. I just came back from, where the heck was I? I don't remember what college I was at, but I'm on the SEC tour right now and been bouncing around, and I think I'm coming in contact with too many people. Don't worry, it's not the Rona. It's not the Rona. I was tested. Just got a normal, average, everyday cold, guys. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get this thing removed, and I'll bring you guys back in a moment. All right, guys. Well, we got the center differential out of this thing. Also, when you're getting this thing out of here, it's easiest just to take this bolt out of this rear chassis brace, because it allows this thing to slide over just enough to get that drive shaft past it, because if not, you'll be fighting with it. So do yourself a favor and just pull that thing out. It makes it a lot easier to get out of there. But we got our 2 drive shafts out of here. We got our new center brace ready to go, and also I was checking the fluid on this thing and feeling the center diff. It's not too bad, but I've been doing the silicone earplugs on pretty much all of my 6S cars, and I think I'm going to go ahead and do this to this because it just transfers that power so much more evenly to the front and rear wheels. You get better air control, better traction, less ballooning of the tires because it's getting that power evenly distributed between all 4 wheels. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, I think, while this is apart. Old versus new. I almost forgot to tell you, the other reason I'm changing this out is because the one hole on this thing got stripped out. When I went to check over all of the bolts, after its first bash, one of the screws going into this plastic one was just spinning. So that was a big reason on going to the aluminum ones. You don't have it stripping out. They're a lot sturdier. So definitely for like a $12 to $13 upgrade, guys, it's a great thing to change out. Also, guys, on anything that's going into aluminum, definitely a good idea to at least use some blue Loctite on them. I wouldn't use the red on stuff like this, but the blue stuff is definitely a good idea. All right, well, we got the center brace mounted up in there. Fit beautiful, so it even matches the rest of the old nice red pretty parts in there. But, all right, well, I'm going to go ahead and start tearing apart the center diff here, and I'll bring you guys back whenever I'm going to pack these things in there and get this thing drained out and ready to go. All right, guys, well, I just got 4 screws removed out of the center diff here. We're also going to see if this thing's got enough fluid in it. And as usual, per Horizon, Arma, quality control, as you can see there, that diff is pretty much empty. That is just terrible. I mean, I don't know what is going on back there at the factory anymore, guys. But, these things are not being filled up properly at all. I mean, you cannot trust any of the differentials in these cars anymore. Pretty much as soon as you get them, you have to tear these things apart and check that all the fluid is properly filled up. Because if not, if you continue to run these things, you will end up killing these center diffs and the rear diffs on these things because they're not shimmed properly and, just going to run into problems. So definitely check all your differentials, guys. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and clean, get all this out there the best I can and clean up the gears. And then I will start working on packing it with some silicone. All right, well, we got all the grease and all that stuff pretty much, 99% of it all out of there. You see, nice and clean. So, I'm going to go ahead. You start with one. Usually it's taken, I don't know, around a whole one, sometimes a little less, depending on the size of the earplugs. These are some new ones I had got. But you just go ahead and work it around your fingers for a second, get it warmed up in your fingers. And all you do is just start packing it away in there. Just jam it in there real hard with your thumbs. Push it down in there. You will get any grease, that maybe was left in there. Will start squeezing up around the edges. But just pack it in there. And then all I do is just go around it with a real small tip, either screwdriver or a hex head here, which I'm using the 1.5 MIP one, and just start pushing it down in there with that. Packing it down there. It takes a little bit of time, but it's worth it, guys. And then you don't even have to worry about your center diff leaking fluid anymore. But I'm going to go ahead and get all this packed in there, and I'll bring you guys back and show you what it's supposed to look like. Alrighty, well, we got her all packed full in there. It took basically one whole one. You want to leave a little bit of a cavity in there, enough for obviously your other sun gear to be able to fit down inside there. But, that's pretty much it, guys. Just squeeze it down in there until you get almost full, but you got a little bit of a, divot in there. Enough to get that sun gear in there, and you're good to go. And, I have not had this cause any other issues or drive shafts breaking or anything else. I know a lot of people have a lot of mixed feelings about doing this. I have not incurred any other weird issues by doing this. It just transfers that power better to the front and the rear, but it still allows a little bit of give. So in those harder landings, the silicone does twist. It allows those gears to move in there. So it's not locked, like a spool would be. So it does still have some give, but it just transfers that power a lot better. But I'm going to go ahead and get this one back on there. And we're going to go ahead and get this thing back together, guys. I'll bring you guys back in a moment. Alright, well, we got all 4 screws in there. Most of the way with the drill. I'm going to go ahead and go over the rest of these with the old hand driver. Tighten them down the rest of the way. That we're not stripping anything out. And it's just about ready to go back together. I'm excited to take this thing out for its first trip, guys. I was really hoping to take this thing out today and take it for a rip, but it's kind of good. I'm getting a few things done to it, a few little upgrades and a few changes. I'm excited to run this thing, though, with that new Hobbywing setup. And I'll show you guys in the driveway here. It's wet out there. So it's probably not going to get the best traction, but, the power is just ridiculous on this thing. It will wheelie at any speed you want it to. It's crazy. But, all right, I'm going to go ahead and go over these a couple more times, make sure everything's nice and tight. I'll bring you guys back. We're going to put it in the car. All right, well, she's all ready to go. And when you get this back together, you can feel like, when you really wrench on it, you can feel it trying to pull through that silicone. But, for the most part, she's locked up. So that's exactly what you're looking for. All right, guys. Well, she is all back together again. Got the new center diff brace in there, and she's ready to rock. Just double-checked my mesh on this thing. Also, guys, what I did underneath here, I know people use silicone and other things, but I filled the whole underneath with hot glue to kind of help support it, because that way that gap down in there is filled and it's not just slamming directly on the chassis. So I filled the whole bottom of it with hot glue. It peels off easy enough, too, whenever you need to work on the thing or pull the motor out. So that's why I used it. But you can use silicone or whatever you choose. But I'm going to go ahead and chuck a battery into this thing, and I'll bring you guys back hooked up to the controller. All right, guys. Well, we got the batteries chucked in again here. Like I said, it is a little wet outside here, so it's not catching a terrible amount of traction. As you can see, she's a quick one. It is just ridiculous how snappy this thing is. And, it stays so planted to the ground. Whew. Really enjoying the power that this Hobbywing Commons has. Night and day difference compared to that stock stuff. Can't get much traction in it. She will drift too. Well, guys, it is starting to look a little promising out here. We are getting the clouds are breaking up. And we got some blue skies going on. I might get to take this thing down to the track today. It's going to be a muddy mess if I go down there. Man, this thing handles so nice. It will... I cannot get on it full trigger, even in the wet stuff. It will wheelie right backwards, no problem. All right. Well, as you guys can see, I think she's going to rip pretty good. Oh, well, that was cute. But anyway, I think this thing is going to rip awesome out there on the track, guys. This thing is going to be a blast. And tomorrow is supposed to be definitely a nice day. So I am going to making plans on going down to the BMX track and take this thing down there because I think this is going to be a great place for this car. But I think that is going to do it for the video today, guys. I hope you guys enjoy it. I know shop videos aren't always the most fun, you know. Sometimes it can be a little boring. A lot of guys just enjoy going out for the bash, and I do too, guys. But you got to work on them occasionally, do a few upgrades to them, and figure out bring you guys along. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. So until next time, y'all, be safe, be careful out there. Peace out, everybody.